Alright guys, this is going to be my review of the real grade GP01 Zephyranthes, and also just some general thoughts I have about the whole real grade line. This is actually the first real grade I've even snapped together, and it was the first one I bought, I believe, as well. So first off, let's just go over the suit itself. This is just out of the box, straight built. I didn't even put any of the stickers on, no panel lines, no top coat, nothing. So this is just how he's gonna look. And the first thing that kind of came to mind once I put them all together was just really how great he does look. And the master grade GP01 I've not built, but I know it's quite an older kit. And from what I've seen online, it doesn't look great. Definitely could use an update. But this guy looks great. I mean, he looks modern. He's got awesome details, great color separation, great panel separation, and all that you could want as far as just a good looking kit. He's pretty articulate too. He moves in all the right places. He's got all the double jointed, elbows and knees. His ankles are probably the only part that don't move great, but everything else is, as good as like a modern high grade, let's say, at least, if not better. So, you're good there. His joints can be a little bit stiff, but honestly, I didn't have a huge problem with that. I'd rather have him a little stiff than loose. And he does come with a core lander, which is pretty cool for such a small size kit. Now, all that being said, there are some, for me at least, some drawbacks to the real grade line in this kit specifically. It's a little fiddly, particularly here in the chest piece. It's a little loose. Like if I shake it too much, the whole bottom part of him from his torso down will fall out because of that core lander system, or the core fighter system. And that's a little bit frustrating sometimes, especially when you're moving him around to pose and stuff like that. He's also just really small. A lot, think it's the same size as a high grade, but probably double the parts at least. So there's a lot of really small parts to sand and clean up if you do that type of thing. I mean, like me, I like to sand just about everything, and it was really difficult to work with that small of parts, and especially in some of the areas with like panel lines and stuff like that, to make sure you weren't sanding out any of the detail or anything like that. It was a little challenging, particularly, I don't know if you guys can see this, but he's got little clear parts on top of the shoulders, and I mean, when I cut those things out, I was so nervous that I was just going to drop them and they'd fall into like the abyss, because they're clear and they're that small, and they were a little difficult to get into those little camera surrounds. So that was a little difficult. Also, the frame is somewhat pre-built, and although that is kind of cool, I found some spots of cleaning it up to be a little challenging. The plastic in general is kind of soft. It doesn't sand well, so you had to be really handy with your hobby knife, which is fine. You just got to be really careful when you're building it. If it's, if you're into that type of thing where you want to go and clean up the frame and detail it out, you definitely have to be careful with it. So those were the couple of biggest drawbacks. But other than that, like I said, I think he looks really great. It does come with a decent amount of accessories. You have, the kind of the typical Gundam loadout where you have a beam rifle and a shield. The shield is nice because it plugs into the back of the arm but sits on the side. So you get, as much stability really as you can with that style mount, but you also get the shield on the side, which I think just looks a lot better than having it on the back of the arm where you have to have it turned. So that's nice. He comes with the two beam saber handles that are stuck in here on the top, but you also get an extra set of beam saber handles, which is nice, and they have little pegs in them, so those will peg into the hands. And then speaking of hands, you do get quite a few options for hands. Let me get all these out. On the kit right now, I have the real grade style hands, which have they move independently, all the fingers, but you also get a pair of closed fists right here. There we go. Kind of. Closed fist. You get a trigger finger for the right hand. And you also get a hand that can clamp onto the shield. This will replace the whole part on the back, or on the back of the shield, the whole little handle and everything. So that's a nice little piece there too. And you get another beam effect, this little two-way thingy that goes into his gun, his beam rifle. That looks pretty cool. You get an action-based connector just for the core fighter, which is nice. And you get some landing gear. There's 3 of these pieces just for the core fighter. And lastly, you get the tiniest little Koyaraki figure. I like painting the 1/100 scale figures. This guy's ridiculous. I'm gonna give it a try somewhere down the road. But man, is that small. So yeah, overall it's a nice kit. I watched some reviews on it before I bought it, and a lot of people really didn't seem to love it other than the look of it. They had a lot of trouble with it, and I have to say I was expecting a lot more trouble than I actually got. It went together pretty smooth, like I said, other than the fact that all the pieces are really small for me. I didn't have any other problems with it. Nothing is like falling off the kit other than, like I said, just the chest connection is a little annoying. But nothing is, just falling off every time you touch it. You can move it around without any problems. I did, pose it around and play with it a little bit, and I didn't have any trouble with it. I'm sure actually the shield fell off like once or twice, but I'm sure with the other hand that's like clamped on there good and strong, I probably wouldn't have any problems. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend the kit, especially if you like the GP01, because this is probably the best iteration of it right now. But I'll say overall, I'm not a huge fan of the Real Grade line, if this is any indication. And like I said, it's not because of the delicacy of it. It's not, parts falling off or anything like that. It's just, I like the bigger scale. I like the 1/100 scale. I think it looks a lot nicer if it were, like if you could just blow this up to 1/100, I'd prefer it. I like building the inner frame instead of having the pre-built inner frame. And I like the size of the parts a little better. It's just easier to work with. And a couple of the gimmicks, any of like the opening gimmicks and stuff on the master grade that you aren't going to get here with the real grade just because of its size. I do know this also probably isn't the best representation of real grades. I've heard great things about the unicorn, and the new tall geese just came out a couple of days ago, or a couple weeks ago rather, and I've seen some awesome things about that. And maybe one day down the road I'll build those, but for right now I just really enjoy a good master grade or even a perfect grade. Let me know what you guys think. Have you guys built real grades? Do you like them? Do you prefer them over master grades? I guess if you're trying to save space, they could definitely be a good option. But for me, I have this whole room to fill up, and I'd just take a master grade or even an RE100 over this real grade. Thank you guys. One other thing I wanted to point out, and I wanted your opinion on, for the Master Grade God Gundam review, I did kind of an unboxing, a whole little sped up video of me building it, and then the review, whereas this one I just did, a shorter review. This is probably going to be somewhere around 10 minutes. I just want to hear from you guys. What do you guys like better? Any reasons why? Yeah, just let me know. Give me some feedback, and I'd appreciate that. So with that being said, this is the end of this review, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks.